Today's video is a bit weird, but I haven't actually been to a hairdresser in 5 years. That's a lie. I've been to a hairdresser about 10 times in the last 5 years. And I've gone to the hairdresser each time with a certain level of expectations. And I came out with a certain level of disappointment. Now, I want to emphasize that first and foremost, I've got some good friends that actually run an incredibly successful barber shop here in the country. I'm so proud of them because they're two guys that I didn't even know were cutting hair. And when I heard it first, I was doubtful. I was a bit childish almost. I was like, well, cutting hair. Until I saw the actual business they built, until I saw the actual vision that they had, and just how incredible it has been for them, because they create these haircuts that have a lot of fading on the side. They do a lot of these, the lines, and it's very popular among young people. It's not popular for me because I'm just not the type of person to want to have that type of haircut. And the way they started, it was actually, even before Corona even happened, there was this moment where I thought, I think I was drunk, and I thought, what is it like if I just try cutting my own hair? And I did it a load of times beforehand, just taking a razor and just trying to do something, and usually I did a very, very poor job. That was until Corona happened. Then COVID came around, and what I did was I realized, well, I want to know what it would look like if I was borderline bald. So I just took a machine and just shoved all the hair off of my head. And I really liked it, because going through thinly shaven hair, it feels a particularly good way. And I felt it was a little bit manlier perhaps, but most importantly, it was easier to dry. It was just convenient. When I was a little kid, about ye height, I used to actually have long curly hair up until my shoulders. True story. A big gingerish inverted afro basically. And I liked it. It was cool looking, it was different, but it was also very feminine. It was a lot of hassle to clean, it was a lot of hassle to dry, and it was just something that I don't ever want to bother with again. Which takes us back to the hairdresser. On average, I think a person will go to the hairdresser about once a month. Now, if you're getting the fade cut, if you're getting these very tight, clean cuts, which go very close to the skin, and they have a lot of transitions going on the side, then you might have to go and take that cut every 2 weeks, which means you're at the barber's, at the hairdresser every 2 weeks. And the price of the average haircut will be between 10 up to 25 euros, which is, in my opinion, a very, very high cost, and depends on what kind of experience you get. Now, some barber stores they'll give you a PlayStation, right? Like at my friend's spot, you're like, mates, maybe you get to hang out, have a drink. You also have the option to just go to some old lady. I used to go to this place that I would actually get, she used to give me a discount for retired people. That's true. I was 19, 20, and I was getting a discount for retired people. I was an old geezer, right? But I got a cheap haircut, It was like 8.5, 9 euros. But I still thought, like, that's a lot of money that accumulates over the time just for somebody to cut my hair. And it wasn't no, in fact, it's the time that I find more frustrating. I gotta find a window when the actual hairdresser's got time. Then I gotta drive to the hairdresser. Then I gotta sit there anywhere between 40 minutes to an hour, depending on how fast or slow they do it. And then the worst part about going to a hairdresser, which is the one that this is a pet peeve of mine. When you get your hair cut, despite the little collar they put around you and the long apron, there's just loads of hair everywhere. The tiny little bits of hair that are still on your scalp, that are still on your face, on your beard, on your neck, on your shoulders, and they won't go away until you've gotten back home and taken a shower. So my mindset was, why not just cut my hair in the shower and then take a shower? And I realized that what happened was it was faster, it was cheaper, and I had no tiny hairs everywhere because I've just taken a shower. I'm completely clean, and I exit and I don't even have to dry my hair because it's short, and it's just the most efficient thing ever. Now, how much does that cost me? Well, it cost me a beer the first time I did it because I was actually drunk when I was doing it because I needed some confidence. And it cost me 50 euros to go on Amazon and buy, you know, some cheap Remington hair clippers. And so essentially for the price of, let's say, the price of 3 haircuts at the hairdresser, I got clippers which I can use for the next 5 to 10 years. I think that's a very, very good deal. Now, here we come to the problematic part, which is the part of actually cutting your hair. Because there are 2 main problems you're going to find. Number one is on your neck here, the back, there's a lot of hair that grows over time. And if you don't cut your hair for a long time, you get a little bit like, it's like puffy, just starts to grow in your neck. And it, in my opinion, it looks pretty gross. You got to cut that, you know, with a raw clipper, maybe even go with a razor and just sort of shave it. The problem is, the back of your head, right, you have a line. That's where the hair starts. And then as you're moving upwards, you want to create some sort of transition. So what the hairdressers will do is, he'll take an attachment and he'll work on the side, and then he'll take a bigger attachment and work on the side, and a bigger attachment and work on the side. And they usually take clippers, scissors, and they'll sort of work on the top of your head. Now what I would do is I would use this. Just my hand, right, with my thumb and my index finger, and I'll place it on the back like so, and create basically a line. And so you cannot go beyond that line. So I would take an attachment, very short, create a line and cut up to it, and then go a little bit higher and have a bigger attachment, and a little bit higher and make a bigger attachment. I'll do the same thing here on the sides. Obviously you could do it visually, you know, up until on the top of your ears. This is like the same length as your beard would be. And as you go a little bit higher, 2 millimeters more, 2 millimeters more. And then to make my job easier, the entire top of the head, I would just do with the same razor I did on the back band here. So you get a seemingly good transition, a very similar transition. And it just works. And it's simple and it's fast, and it takes me about 20 to 25 minutes tops, depending on how long I've let my hair grow out and how now, you know, like Shrek ears. They're just, and then you'll just clip them. And so yeah, it takes some practice, it takes some routine to get into it, but I think ultimately, look, my thought process was this: I already cut my own beard, or, you know, trim my own beard. So why wouldn't I, when I'm trimming my beard, also trim my hair? Because you know what happened to me was, I think it was the event that I had, which when I graduated, and I was like, okay, I need to get a proper haircut when I graduate. And then I couldn't get a hairdresser in time. And then you have the problem because you go to a hairdresser, if you're like me, I'll go to a hairdresser about once every 2 months. Here's what happens. You go to a hairdresser, you get a haircut, right? You show them a picture of Gordon Ramsay, or you show them a picture of whoever you want the hair look like, and they'll do something, right? They'll create something with their, you know, skill and artistry and what they think looks good on you. I usually just trust the barber, the hairdresser, to do what I want them to do. And I'll be happy with the hair. I'll go out there, I'll walk the entire day with little bits of hair everywhere, and then I'll come home, I'll take a shower. Now, suddenly the hair looks completely different because I've showered, and it falls in different spots in different ways. It's no longer greasy, you know, from all the touching and the cutting process, and it now looks a little bit different. But the worst part is that after 2 months, the hair now looks so overgrown that when I go back, even if I go to the same hairdresser, he no longer knows what he did. He doesn't remember me, we don't have a picture of it, so he'll just create a similar thing, but it's never the same. So every 2 months that I'd go to the hairdresser, I would come out with a different hair. Now, I didn't find that very consistent. And I found it stressful because, hell, I've got an event I'm going to, there's going to be a lot of pictures taken of me, and I want my hair to look good, right? Or maybe I've got a date I want to go on, you know, or there's something like that. And there was a fear that, what if they do a bad job? Like, what am I going to do then? Just cut my hair off again and just create a bald noggin, which I think I might still do sometime in the future again, because it just feels good sometimes. There's going to be areas where you want to look like a jarhead, quite literally like a jarhead, because it just makes sense. Depends on what kind of life you're in. You could even treat it as punishment. You can say, I'm going to cut my hair, just like I'm in jail or in the army, and then live out a life for the next 2 months as if you were, because hair will grow back, and you shouldn't frustrate yourself too much about how your hair looks. Because cutting your hair at home and making it look like a jarhead is way different than if you go to a hairdresser, pay a bunch of money, get a little bit of its hair everywhere, and still look like a jarhead. So in my opinion, is this a recommendation for people to go cut their own hair? Yeah, I don't think you should. I think most people should still go to the hairdresser, because I know how the average person is not very handy with doing things like that, but you could give it a try. If you have a pair of hair clippers at home, you could do it. Maybe ask your sister, your brother, or your mother to help you. Especially the creating the line here on the neck is something that takes a lot of practice. But at the end of the day, if it saves you time, if it saves you money, if it's good-looking hair, then I don't think you should stress over it. I think it's cheaper and it's more efficient. And looking back at it now, I'm very grateful that one time I had a little bit too much to drink, and I just thought, screw it, let's cut my own hair, because it was one of the best decisions I ever made. Now, does this mean I'm never going to go to a hairdresser? No. I still love going to the hairdresser. I love going to, especially the mate of mine, having a conversation with him, striking up a convo to figure out how he's doing, how his brother is doing, how the business is growing, what are some of the problems that are in the world. I'll do it once in a while, always. But I think at the end of the day, I've now grown accustomed to how to do it, why I do it the way I do it, and how it's just simply more efficient and more pleasant for myself. And so, yeah, I do kind of recommend that maybe more people could cut their own hair. So yeah, maybe you should give it a try. Until next time, take care and safe line.